This is DX Central Live. This is DX Central Live. This is DX Central Live.
Welcome to DX Central Live, Season 5. We will be starting the show soon, so make yourself comfortable and be sure to join in on the conversation happening in the chat. Also, don't forget to submit your shout-outs, so we can celebrate together. The shout-out submission link is in the video description for our live stream. If you aren't already a subscriber, be sure to hit the subscribe button. While you are at it, giving this video a like, and leaving a comment are great ways to help out the channel. We thank you for your continued support and look forward to seeing you in just a short while. Now get ready for DX Central Live, Season 5. Welcome to DX Central Live, Season 5. We will be starting the show soon, so make yourself comfortable and be sure to join in on the conversation happening in the chat. Also, don't forget to submit your shout-outs, so we can celebrate together. The shout-out submission link is in the video description for our live stream. If you aren't already a subscriber, be sure to hit the subscribe button. While you are at it, giving this video a like, and leaving a comment are great ways to help out the channel. We thank you for your continued support and look forward to seeing you in just a short while. Now get ready for DX Central Live, Season 5. Welcome to DX Central Live, Season 5. We will be starting the show soon, so make yourself comfortable and be sure to join in on the conversation happening in the chat. Also, don't forget to submit your shout-outs, so we can celebrate together. The shout-out submission link is in the video description for our live stream. If you aren't already a subscriber, be sure to hit the subscribe button. While you are at it, giving this video a like, and leaving a comment are great ways to help out the channel. We thank you for your continued support and look forward to seeing you in just a short while. Now get ready for DX Central Live, Season 5.
DX Central Live, Season 5. We will be starting the show soon, so make yourself comfortable and be sure to join in on the conversation happening in the chat. Also, don't forget to submit your shoutouts so we can celebrate together. The shoutout submission link is in the video description for our live stream. If you aren't already a subscriber, be sure to hit the subscribe button. While you are at it, giving this video a like and leaving a comment are great ways to help out the channel. We thank you for your continued support and look forward to seeing you in just a short while. Now get ready for DX Central Live, Season 5.
Welcome to DX Central Live, Season 5. We will be starting the show soon, so make yourself comfortable and be sure to join in on the conversation happening in the chat. Also, don't forget to submit your shoutouts so we can celebrate together. The shoutout submission link is in the video description for our live stream. If you aren't already a subscriber, be sure to hit the subscribe button. While you are at it, giving this video a like and leaving a comment are great ways to help out the channel. We thank you for your continued support and look forward to seeing you in just a short while. Now get ready for DX Central Live, Season 5. Welcome to DX Central Live, Season 5. We will be starting the show soon, so make yourself comfortable and be sure to join in on the conversation happening in the chat. Also, don't forget to submit your shoutouts so we can celebrate together. The shoutout submission link is in the video description for our live stream. If you aren't already a subscriber, be sure to hit the subscribe button. While you are at it, giving this video a like and leaving a comment are great ways to help out the channel. We thank you for your continued support and look forward to seeing you in just a short while. Now get ready for DX Central Live, Season 5.
This is DX Central Live.
In the night, so dark and quiet, frequencies hum low like a riot. Tuning in with all my might, searching for a voice in flight. Cajun air, it holds the sound, radio waves from town to town. Static crackles, mix and turn, waiting for that name to learn. Signal fades, the name's unknown, trying to catch it all alone. Mystery calls the night, my friend. Searching till the very end. Moonlight dances on the dial, rumbling with that Delta style. Notes float softly in the wind. Still I wait for news to send. Signal fades, the name's unknown. Trying to catch it all alone. Mystery calls the night, my friend. Searching till the very end. Bayou whispers keep me still, craving for that lingering thrill. Misted voices lost in haze, echoes in this southern maze.
This is DX Central Live.
He's got his antenna way up in the air. Dreams of Latin music out there somewhere. Cards in his hand, maps on the wall. Late nights waiting, but he gets no call. All those radio waves, they play with his mind, searching for signals, but they're so hard to find. From Puerto Rico to faraway land, tune in the static, still no guitar in hand. He's there in the darkness, waiting for a sign, humming to the silence with a hopeful line. But the airwaves are quiet, nothing comes through. Just another night, feeling deja vu. All those radio waves, they tease and they taunt with promises of rhythms, but give him just one. From Puerto Rico, he's searching afar, dreams of a broadcast beneath the bright star. And in his small room, by the glow of the moon, he waits for a melody, morning or noon. Signals may fail, but his hope never fades. Seeking the music, his spirit demands. Another dawn breaks, he's still at the dial. With every sunrise, he promises a smile. From Puerto Rico to faraway land, tune in the static, still no guitar in hand. He's there in the darkness, waiting for a sign, humming to the silence with a hopeful line. But the airwaves are quiet, nothing comes through. feeling deja vu. Oh, those radio waves, they tease and they taunt with promises of rhythms, with a hopeful line. But the airwaves are quiet, nothing comes through. Just another night, feeling deja vu. And in his small room, by the glow of a moon, he waits for a melody morning anew. Signals may fail, but his hope never fades. Seeking the music his spirit demands. Another dawn breaks, he's still at the dial. With every sunrise he promises a smile. Someday the frequencies will carry his tune. Till then he dances to the rhythmless blue.
This is DX Central Live.
I got my radio on, just trying to get on it. But my baby says no way, so I'm stuck in this chair. I dream of signals far from north to east to west, but I can't put up no antenna. She says it's for the best. Dreaming of DX, signals I can't hear. My baby won't let me, so I'm sitting here in tears. That static calls my name, whispering in my mind. But without that big old tower, the signals I can't find. I see the towers rise in a distant starry sky, but here I'm bound in time, can't even say goodbye. Dreaming of DX, signals I can't hear. My baby won't let me, so I'm sitting here in tears. Dreaming of DX, signals I can't hear. My baby won't let me, so I'm sitting here in tears.
DX Central Live is brought to you in part by...
For more than 90 years, the National Radio Club has been at the forefront of providing DXers with the latest in station news, DX-related technical information, and reception reports from DXers around the world. The NRC's AM radio log, now in its 45th edition, is the most expansive and detailed resource of station information for U.S. and Canadian radio stations that is available in any format. The club's publication, the DX News, is available in both print and electronic format and provides the latest information on call letter and format changes, construction permits, and other information to help keep DXers informed of the latest updates they may hear on the air. For more information, visit their website at nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org. With a lifetime membership, the International Radio Club of America gives DXers incredible value by putting important station information right at your fingertips. The club's e-publication, the DX Monitor, includes DXer loggings, station information updates, international loggings, and more. Other club publications include the IRCA Mexican Log, a must-have resource for any DXer that chases stations from Mexico, the TIS-HAR list, the IRCA slogan list, sunset sunrise maps, and DXer technical guides. The joint IRCA-NRC email reflector and groups.io group is a hub for real-time DX conditions, station news, and DX-related conversation. For more information, visit ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org. From long wave to satellites, medium wave through HF, ham radio to scanners. If you can DX it, the Spectrum Monitor has you covered. Editor and publisher Ken Reitz has assembled a who's who of radio writers to share their knowledge and expertise from a wide range of DX-related topics. Each month, the Spectrum Monitor's columnists dive into their specialties to give readers tips, tricks, the latest news and station updates, and more. The Spectrum Monitor also provides a monthly assortment of feature articles that give in-depth insight into the past, present, and future of DXing. You can get a full year of the Spectrum Monitor for only $24. Individual issues from the current year are available for $3 each. You can also purchase previous years of the Spectrum Monitor in their entirety for as low as $12. For more information, visit thespectrummonitor.com. That's thespectrummonitor.com.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. In languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams, we listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central. Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
You guys ready for this? I don't remember any DXer having a week like Sean Kutsko in Champaign, Illinois. He's a ham radio operator KX9X. The totals: 24 new logs this week, 2 new Canadian provinces, 1 new Mexican state, 2 new stations of Louisiana. That's a double dose of that gumbo, baby. And a new station out of Wisconsin. It's a pipeline like that. If that won't get you interested in DX, I don't know what will. This was the best AM DX opening. I can't even talk. I'm so excited. The best AM DX opening I've ever experienced. The HF Plus Discovery's Code Channel Canceller and the NCC2 Phaser are two great antennas in powerful combination for some great AM DX. I still have 3 more recordings from the 29th and March 1st he hasn't gotten to yet. That's the age-old dilemma. There's more recordings for you, man.
You're watching DX Central Live with Lloyd Van Horn, and that's a very wise thing to do.
It's a Friday night, Lloyd in the North Shore, setting frequencies right. AM and FM, the airwaves collide. DX Central Live, where the signals can't hide. Tuning in the static, chasing down the sounds. Every single signal is magic we have found. All radios hum, the chatters all agree. DX Central Live is the place to be. Folks in the chat, shout out your call. From east to west, we're breaking down the walls. It's the magic of the night, where frequencies fly. Join us now on DX Central Live.
From the Gulf South
to your corner of the world,
this is DX Central Live.
now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
From the North Shore Studios in Mandeville, Louisiana, it's DX Central Live here in Studio A this Friday night. A little rainy, a little stormy, a little bumpy. You're going to hear it on the radio, some lightning crashes, but we're here. We're DXing, we're talking DX, we're having ourselves a good time. Hopefully you guys have had a great week, had a great Christmas, had a chance to spend some time with friends or family, or just contemplating existence, if nothing else. And hopefully you had a chance for some good DX. The daytime challenge, I think, surprised some people. I think you guys were a little surprised by what was to be found in the daytime, some of you were. We'll take a look at that here in a bit. We have a new challenge to announce a little bit later on. Our first theme-based challenge that we're doing the 2-week format. So this was our first theme-based challenge that we had, the daytime challenge. Now we're moving to 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks we'll have a new challenge. This is going to be our first of the 2-week challenges. And I mentioned earlier in the chat, this one is a bit of a pull of the rug out from underneath the feet. You'll see why in a bit when we look at that. So very excited to be sharing that with you guys. Don't forget to get your shout outs in. If you have trouble getting into the website, if you get like a 500 error or whatever, I apologize. I've been fighting that website now for several days. So just keep trying. I got one a few minutes ago, and then I got back, hit reload, and it got in fine. So, get your shout-outs in, dxchallenges.com/shoutout. I'm going to continue to try to work on this website. I don't know what's going on, guys. I know earlier this week we got hit with another bot hacker thing, China and Russian bots trying to get in. So I guess you're doing something right if if you have bots trying to get into your site and try to cause mayhem. So maybe we're doing something right there. But yeah, just keep trying, get those shout outs in, dxchallenges.com/shoutout. We'll get those in here tonight. We got tons of those already in. And of course we have ours. I didn't do mine last week. I forgot to do those last week. So we'll mention a couple of the highlights from the previous one and then what we got this week. Wasn't much this week. Didn't really spend a whole lot of time DXing, but a little bit here and there. Did spend some time on some antenna projects. So I mentioned to you guys last week I'd be working on a 350 170-ish CAS antenna, about 20 by 60 or so. So we got that up in the air. The 350 side doesn't work great. I'm getting a little bit of an eastern pull on it. I think that might be something to do with some of the other wire that's around. So I'm going to try to do some tweaking a little bit to see if I can get that to work. But when I flipped to the 170, whoa, that 170 side is working fantastic. I mean, it is just wonderful. So I did that and did the update to the firmware on the AirSpy this week. Actually, yesterday, did the update to the firmware on the AirSpy and also updated SDR Sharp to the current beta version 1921. I've been playing with that, and we'll be using that tonight as our primary DX tool here for at least the first hour. And man, it's phenomenal. It's so good. I've got it right now with my 125 degree southeast CAS. And it is just cooking down into Latin America right now. I was posting some stuff in the Slack channel this week, some clips from like Ecuador and Colombia and places, Cuba and stuff that we were hearing, and it was just remarkable what was coming in. So, going to be sharing that with you guys tonight and talking about the firmware upgrade. I know Stephanie just upgraded her firmware on her AirSpy to this evening and is working on the SDR Sharp as well. Some of you other folks have also been working on that. So we're going to talk about that. We've got another couple of pieces of equipment on order. One that was supposed to be here today. Then I just ordered another piece to go with this. So it is a PA0 RDT mini whip pair. We're going to have two of them here. We're going to put one about 45 feet, one about 40-ish feet or so, in two opposite trees. And we're going to throw both of those into an SDR Play RSP Duo, which is what I ordered today. And we're going to use the diversity mode to really just sit there and just look around and see what we see. So very, very excited about trying that out. At 40-ish feet or so in height, those mini whips should be cooking with some pretty good gain and do what we need to do. So very excited about trying those out. We got some FM Tropo heading our way. Some folks with some meteor scatter the last week or so,
But FM Tropo heading our way down here in the Gulf South. So we're going to look at the map and the Tropo forecast, since I think some other folks might also be looking at some Tropo this week. Also, don't forget, this is about the time of the year. It's that week after Christmas, first week of January, somewhere in there. We did have one e-skip opening pre-Christmas, but the week after Christmas into January is when we usually see at least a little bit of an opening somewhere. Somebody might get something. We had one here, like I said, before Christmas. We got a little opening into Colorado one morning around 11 o'clock last week, or was it earlier this week? I don't remember. But we did have that. Very, very brief. So this is the time of the year to kind of keep your eye on sporadic E as well. So make sure you're signed up for the email alerts from FM List. Make sure you're paying attention to the Rabbit Ears reception map for the nation, so you can kind of look for those. We'll take a look at some of that today to show you what we're talking about here for those of you who might not be aware. And of course, we have your shout outs and the new frequency challenge week to announce. So a lot to get to tonight. But I want to start off with some DX, and we're sitting on this AirSpy HF Plus Discovery, which is now upgraded with firmware version 5 and the version 1921, the beta version of SDR Sharp. So we're going to be playing around with that this evening. Now, this first DX session, as always, is brought to you by National Radio Club. NationalRadioClub.org is the website for more information about membership. So make sure that you go check them out today. And you can, oops, did I do that? I did, didn't I? Where is the bottom screen? Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're just going to throw this onto the top screen. How about that? Woo! And then you'll have this there. That's it. So there's SDR Sharp up here on the top screen now, and we're going to be looking around, and I'm just going to show you guys. We don't have a frequency range this week, and we've been doing daytime DX all week, so not a set frequency for me to go to. If you guys have something you want me to DX off of here for our DX session this evening, by all means, throw that into the chat, and we'll go check it out. But what we'll probably do here is I'll play around with the CCC, the code channel canceller, a bit, and give you guys a chance to see what we're hearing with that and kind of how it's performing. Because with the new firmware, with the beta upgrade here on SDR Sharp, this CCC is performing better than ever has. One of the things I noted last night is that typically in the past with the code channel canceller, you would need like at least one really strong signal for it to grab a hold of and be able to do something with. If you had a bunch of stuff kind of in the mud, or like, you know, nothing that was really distinct signals, just a bunch of little bitty peaks, you couldn't really do a whole lot with it. You could bounce around and try it out, but it just really didn't have anything to grab a hold of, and it made it kind of, you know, you had to have that one dominant signal to kind of cancel out. Not anymore. I was sitting last night on a couple frequencies where there was just like 3 or 4 or 5 little peaks, kind of all kind of dispersed them out. Nobody was really dominant, and I was just going through and canceling that one. Let's cancel that one. Let's cancel that one. And just seeing what happened when I would cancel out all the individual little peaks. And it was crazy. It was really, really crazy. So let's go ahead and take a gander here at, let's start with 640. And actually, no, let's go up to 1510. This is always my showpiece here for when I'm talking about the code channel canceller. I always use 1510. We're going to look at WLAC in Nashville, Tennessee, and we're going to see if we can get rid of them using the code channel canceller and let Radio Monumental in Ecuador come through. So let's just take a gander. We're on the South CAS anyway, so it's probably going to be mostly Monumental anyway. So it'll probably just be getting rid of what's left of LAC. Okay, so that Spanish station that you hear in there, the music, that is Radio Monumental. And we do have one station in here with talk, that's WLAC. Now I'm going to try to tweak this vactrol on the back end to see if I can get rid of LAC some more. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. David mentions that the code channel canceller seems to work better without wide sidebands as well now. So that was one of the things. You had to kind of use your filtering here and drag this on certain stations. If it was like a super strong station, you would have to kind of like widen out your bandwidth here to kind of incorporate all of the signal into it in order to really be able to cancel it all out. I still have to do that to an extent, like WYLD 940 here in New Orleans. I have to do that with them because they have a pretty wide Sequam stereo signal. pretty wide, so I have to kind of widen that out a bit. But usually if I stay, like if you're looking here at this grid here on SDR Sharp, this vertical line and this vertical line, the first vertical line's here off of the main carrier here, depending on how kind of tight you are in. That's what I'm usually kind of sticking around to. That seems to be good. Somewhere in that range right there, 5,000 kilohertz. Or 5 kilohertz, or up to 10 if you really need to go wide. But usually that first set of lines right here, that first set of vertical lines off the carrier frequency is what I'm usually kind of setting it at, and that usually works pretty well. I might widen it out a little bit. Now you see how wide now we're getting that nice big open air. I don't really have to cancel out much of LAC, but we're going to see if we can find them and get rid of LAC entirely. Let's see if we can cancel out Radio Monumental. There goes Radio Monumental. Got rid of them entirely. That's LAC is left. Now let's go back. Didn't have to do a very strong cancellation here because LAC is so big. Let me actually throw that vactrol open here. Be bi-directional. And let's see if I can get more LAC in here. Because Ecuador is just owning it tonight. Okay, there we go. There's WLAC. Let's get rid of them. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I threw the CAS bi-directional by opening up the vactrol fully. And that's just as good as a vactrol now. Look at that. I mean, that's just as good as phasing them out or using a vactrol to null the backside. It really is. That's just as good. Because, I mean, now I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to turn off the CCC. We're going to turn on the vactrol.
Don't miss Recovering Wellness with Dr. Ed Sweeney, Sundays at 11 a.m. right here on Talk Radio 98.3.
DX Central Live, top of the hour alert.
We are listening for IDs. Let's see if we can get an ID off of Radio Monumental. I don't think I've ever gotten the top of the hour from them ever.
Checking the halls for one last party.
Okay, that's some of the vactrol thrown in there. Now let's just go ahead and let's just get rid of them. So Ecuador comes in pretty strongly sometimes. Sometimes they fade a little bit. Right now we're in a little bit of a fade, so LAC comes up a bit more. And now I can get rid of what's left of LAC using the co-channel. Hey, Jesus. Love the music from Ecuador. This station has got some of my favorite music on the band. Now, if we throw in some noise reduction, and I'm also going to throw in some audio equalizer here, using a plugin that's available. Yeah, since I put in version 5 of the firmware, this is all I've been on. I'm going to turn off. I'm going to try just some audio noise reduction here. I think I like the IF better right now on this particular instance. Listen to that static lightning crash. Yeah, I'm using a splitter. Let's hope we get an ID out of him here. Those lightning crashes are fun, huh? Oh, they're taking a little bit of a dive here on me. Just as a reminder, what's left. This is what we're getting rid of here. Is allowed to be LAC. Even vactroled out. Hey, Jerry. I mean, it's the CCC has gotten so easy to use now. Go watch the video we have on it, and then come back with the version 5, and it's it's so much easier now. It just works.
Displaying this case. ICE confirms that it launched
Yeah, we've got a couple of the DX Engineering splitter combiners we have here in the shack. That basically 2 of our antennas, we're throwing it to the Perseus and the Kiwi. And then we have another, the third antenna that we usually have, because we always have 3 at all times. There's 3 that we rotate, but there's always 3 on at all times. So 2 of them are going through DX Engineering splitter combiners. And then the third one, what we're using right now off this Air Spy, it's also going to the Kiwi. It's a little itty bitty splitter that I saw the folks at SDR Play using. They were using it for testing out and showing a comparison of the regular RSP DX versus the R2. This little bitty, it's like an exposed circuit board SMA connector splitter. And that's what I'm running on this Air Spy right now. And it works pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it. I thought I had ordered a couple of extras, but I can't find them, so I got to order those. Don't get me started on ordering stuff. I've got like a bunch of things out right now that I'm waiting on. Like my mini whips were supposed to be here today. They didn't show. Got some other things that are out, haven't shown. I'm on the edge of my seat right now on ordering stuff. Let's take a look here. Let's zoom back out again. Let's go down to another frequency where I have a strong north station here. Let me try 750. Stop my recording here so I can go down to 750. We have, oh, actually, let me do this. Here's 800. Okay, so this is 800 kilohertz. Here in New Orleans, we have a local. All right, WSHO. It is Sunshine 800, religious station here in New Orleans. And I'm going to use the code channel canceller to get rid of them and allow us to hear Bonaire, PJB. Ready?
A little bit and have a good time seeing with your friends. You go there on your knees and pray.
Just got to bump up the threshold just a little bit. Sometimes if you're trying to cancel out a stronger signal, especially like a local, you'll have to bump the threshold up a little bit. Like WWL, I got to just basically throw it wide open, just about to get rid of them, and I'll do that here in a second to show you the Cuban wobbler. But this is a strong local. Now, with WLAC, I didn't need as much of a threshold in. You really only want to put in as much threshold as you need to actually get rid of the signal, otherwise it starts getting too watery sometimes. But I did have to bump it up on this one here. So we're going to turn it off and then turn it back on and let you hear the difference between the English religious station that's on top, that's my local, and PJB in Bonaire, Netherlands Antilles, which is the Spanish religious station that will be up on top.
Ready for launch.
You're kind of a rare bird, aren't you? For a woman to do that?
Hey, Mamacita. Hear the Spanish in there? That's Bonaire, Netherlands Antilles. Yeah, distorted, nasty sounding audio is Mexico. So now the question is, okay, that's like a 5 kilowatt, 1 kilowatt. I can't remember how many watts they carry on 800. What can I do with a big gun? Let's go to 870. Let's do it. Let's see what we can do. This is 870, 50,000 watt WWL, 34 miles to my southwest across the lake, right? So really, of that 34 miles, there's only like 4 miles that separates me and them, because the rest of it is a brackish lake of salt and fresh water between me and them. Let's hear the signal as it stands.
The sweat, the glory, the game, and how we can elevate our own game with capability that takes us to another level. In ground clearance.
There they are, gone. That wobble that you're hearing is the Cuban wobbler, Radio Reloj in Cuba. And here in a minute, when we get to the top of the minute, we'll actually hear the Morse code. But I got rid of WWL. Gone. I can't even do that with phasing. So this wobbling sound you're hearing is not a product of the CCC. It is actually a product of the station that's left over after the canceling. This is Radio Reloj in Cuba that's doing this. They've been doing it now for about 3 years. Here comes the Morse code. Okay, it was in there, but it was weak. The wobble is really knocking him down tonight. That's WWL.
Hey, you gotta wash it.
That's them gone. And all you have left is the wobble.
That energy from the beginning.
Unbelievable.
In this building right now.
Absolutely unbelievable.
There's a good
All right, I think that's going to do it for this first DX session. All right, and let's go ahead and make... Okay, so let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to do some of your shout-outs. We're going to look a little bit more about where you go to get this update information for your AirSpy, for the firmware, and for the beta version here on 1921 that I'm running. We'll also be looking at some results from our daytime challenge. I want to look back and see what you guys have been hearing this week. It was a surprising week for me, too. I heard some new stuff this week that I hadn't heard before, so we'll do that. And of course, we're getting ready for our next challenge. You guys aren't going to believe this one. So stay tuned, my friends. More DX Central Live is heading your way right after this.
DX Central, because we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central. DX Central Live is brought to you in part by...
For more than 90 years, the National Radio Club has been at the forefront of providing DXers with the latest in station news, DX-related technical information, and reception reports from DXers around the world. The NRC's AM radio log, now in its 45th edition, is the most expansive and detailed resource of station information for U.S. and Canadian radio stations that is available in any format. The club's publication, the DX News, is available in both print and electronic format and provides the latest information on call letter and format changes, construction permits, and other information to help keep DXers informed of the latest updates they may hear on the air. For more information, visit their website at nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org. With a lifetime membership, the International Radio Club of America gives DXers incredible value by putting important station information right at your fingertips. The club's e-publication, the DX Monitor, includes DXer loggings, station information updates, international loggings, and more. Other club publications include the IRCA Mexican Log, a must-have resource for any DXer that chases stations from Mexico, the TIS-HAR list, the IRCA slogan list, sunset sunrise maps, and DXer technical guides. The joint IRCA-NRC email reflector and groups.io group is a hub for real-time DX conditions, station news, and DX-related conversation. For more information, visit ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org. From long wave to satellites, medium wave through HF, ham radio to scanners. If you can DX it, the Spectrum Monitor has you covered. Editor and publisher Ken Reitz has assembled a who's who of radio writers to share their knowledge and expertise from a wide range of DX-related topics. Each month, the Spectrum Monitor's columnists dive into their specialties to give readers tips, tricks, the latest news and station updates, and more. The Spectrum Monitor also provides a monthly assortment of feature articles that give in-depth insight into the past, present, and future of DXing. You can get a full year of the Spectrum Monitor for only $24. Individual issues from the current year are available for $3 each. You can also purchase previous years of the Spectrum Monitor in their entirety for as low as $12. For more information, visit thespectrummonitor.com. That's thespectrummonitor.com.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. In languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams, we listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central. Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
This man told me to tell you to watch DX Central Live with Lloyd Van Horn every Friday night. I can't feel my face.
From the DX Central North Shore Studios, this is DXC Live. Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
From the North Shore Studios here in Mandeville, Louisiana, it's DX Central Live every Friday night at 0045 UTC. That's 1845 Central Time, right here at dxcentrallive.com and our YouTube channel as well. And so let's go ahead and get to your shout-outs here. I want to make sure we have a chance to get to the first round of those. Let's see. Are we still getting some coming in? Yeah, they're coming in. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're definitely coming in. Let's do that.
Shout out loud, hear the call for every single big or small, from AM to FM, from C to C. We celebrate the ones who snag the IT. Shout out loud, let it be known, you're never DXing all alone. Through the static we found our way. Shout-outs making waves today.
All right. Shout out time. Let's see what you guys have been hearing this week. So, dxchallenges.com/shoutouts. Get your new logs, new states, new countries, new gear, new milestone reached, goal reached. Did you get some new gear? Did you put a new antenna up? Did you learn something new? AM, FM, weather, DX, ham radio, shortwave, whatever. Just send over your shout outs. We'll get them here on the air and get you that virtual high five. Celebrate together. Starting with our good friend, Mr. David Pete up in Maine, our organizer of the WZON DX test, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. Thank you to David for your efforts on helping to get that one set up. Didn't hear him here, unfortunately, but I know a lot of folks did get to hear him and add Maine to the logbook and get new states, so hopefully we'll be reading about that a little bit later on here in the shout-outs. New ones for our friend David this week. 1080 WVFO Amherst, New York. That's number 119 from the state of New York for him. 730 WPIT, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for Pennsylvania number 75. Oklahoma number 3, 1000 KTOK. You can take them. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And 2 new states for David this week out west. New state number 40, KTNN, Window Rock, Arizona on 660. And new state number 41, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 770 KKOB. I mean, think about that. New York is on both of those frequencies, and he's in Maine. That's a pretty big accomplishment. So well done, our friend. Let's go ahead and get you those new states here. Let's fire off the fireworks for that one. And, of course, we have the new logs to get in there for you, too, as well. So we're going to saw some logs for you now. All right, that's David Pete up in Old Town, Maine. Thank you, my friend, and congratulations on the new states. My brother out west from Maine gives me hope that one day Maine, Rhode Island, some of those, we might flip that around and get it from down here. I just wish there was some 50 kilowatt stations in Rhode Island and Maine. That'd be nice. All right, good job, my friend. He says the CCC. I don't doubt that a bit. That's what he used the code channel canceller to get rid of those New York stations, and there was Window Rock, there was KKOB. Speaking of the CCC, our friend Jeff Immel puts a shout out in here saying, how about that AirSpy HF Plus Discovery firmware? Well, I'm just going to bundle up this little portion here of the show tonight and send it to Yusuf. Send it to him and say, look at the love fest going on. How about that AirSpy HF Plus Discovery firmware version 5.0 and the code channel canceller? Sliced bread, Ziploc bags, the AirSpy code channel canceller, greatest technological advancements ever. Yeah. It's pretty great. I mean, if I can get rid of WWL, now I'll be very interested to see what happens when I can do that when I throw my Northeast CAS back on and I get rid of WWL and I'm looking to the Northeast. Can I finally start filling in some of those stations like Alabama, Valley Head, up around Tennessee? Can I finally start getting some of those stations up to the Northeast and get that? If I could log 5 or 6 stations on 870, that's a testament to the technology that's available now, because 30 years ago, I would have never been able to do that without some significant phasing and stuff like that. All right, Rick, our friend Rick Dow in Omaha, Nebraska, or in the Nebraska Omaha adjacent area. chimes in with a new one this week on a graveyarder. He said on Sunday, December 22nd, from my listening post in South Omaha, heard WIOE in Fort Wayne, Indiana, fair and alone on the channel with 60s oldies, then an idea of oldies 101.1, 104.3, and stereo 1450 WIOE, 565 miles. There are still several stations on 1450 in Wisconsin, Illinois, and Indiana that I need, and this one managed to hop over all of them. So that brings up a great point about graveyarders. It's one of those things, I go back to my graveyard channels pretty frequently because, yeah, you kind of know what you're going to hear most of the time, but not every time. You're going to have those times when you look there, you listen in, and boom, there's that new station that jumped up. That was at 2310 UTC, by the way. That wasn't top of the hour. That was 10 minutes in. And just pops up randomly. Boop, there it is. And you're like, whoa, where do they come from? And you got a new one in the logbook. So the graveyarders are a great one to kind of keep an eye on. Make it part of your routine that you're always at least checking those graveyarders on a regular basis, looking for stuff that might be a bit newer. And don't just look at the top of the hour. Look a couple different places in the hour, a quarter hour, half hour. Like I said, this one's at 10 after. Looking for those IDs because you never know when something's going to just rise up to the top. Well done, my friend. New log for you as well. There we go. And congratulations, Senor Rick. Greg Caniglio in New York. Got several more to get in here. We got, we'll do this one. We'll end it here this round. Coming up next round, we've got our friend Sean Kutsko, Carl DeWitt, David Harden in Georgia, and Mexico Mike J will be our next round of shout-outs here in the next hour. Greg, though, says, I don't formally keep track of this record, but for the daytime challenge, I had to be CRV 640 Collierville, Mississippi, or Memphis, Tennessee, rather. Collierville, Memphis, Tennessee, at 850 miles on December 23rd at 9 a.m. local. I don't keep track of that particular record, but I can't think of a daytime station that far that I could have possibly ever heard. A few times this year, KSTP will be in well into sunlight, but that's in the 700-mile range or so. So this is another great point, and one of the things that I was really hoping would happen this week during the daytime challenge. This time of the year, the D-layer of the atmosphere is just not what it is like in the summertime. In the summertime, you've got these big, long days. We've got that angle of the sun is right there pointing right at it. And, man, it's just cooking that D-layer. And it's building up this very big, robust D-layer. And it takes it a while. It can be well into the evening before that D-layer finally completely gets gone and allows for good skywave reception. You know, you get enough, but some frequencies, sometimes you can have a little bit of, like, residual D-layer that takes a bit of time to kind of finally peel off into the evening hours during the summertime. In the wintertime, and winter solstice was the 22nd, that's our shortest day of the year, the least amount of sunlight. Those days, that D-layer never actually, probably in most places, fully commits, right? It hasn't fully built up, and if it is, it's super thin, or it's got little holes in it here and there, things like that. So even in the middle of the day, in those really short days of December like this, you can get skywave propagation daytime. And why is that important? Well, it's just like what happened during the solar eclipse. You might think to yourself, well, skywave, you know, I'll get those stations at night or at sunset or whatever. But if you've got an open frequency and you've got a station that's 50K during the day and they sign off at night, or there's, 5K or something like that, kind of regional to you, and they're super strong in the daytime, but at night they're gone, or they power way down and you can't hear them. And maybe you might get them during the gray line, but during the gray line, all those other stations are kind of coming up, right? Well, in the daytime, if you can get one of those stations that has some good skywave propagation, because the D-layer is not all that, you might have a shot at something. So, and I think what I saw this week in the Slack channel and some of the logs that have been submitted was folks experiencing just that. I had a couple of those that I'm like, man, how have I not heard these guys before? And it's because there was just that right minimal amount of D-layer, right? Just a bare minimum in there. And so there was some skywave reflection happening off the F layer that was allowing me to hear some stations that were further away during the daytime, when normally during the gray line or at night, they're either gone or they're just part of the mix of everybody else, right? So that's one of the great things about daytime DX this time of the year, when we have these shorter days, as you're dealing with a much, much less robust D-layer, and it doesn't last as long. It's not as thick. It's not as robust. And so you get these stations you normally wouldn't get. I was sitting here listening. I have 7 Cubans I logged this week. 7. And I'm talking at like daytime. I'm not even taking advantage of that little hour window that I bumped it out to, right? Which I did to kind of give folks a chance to kind of experience that. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking like high noon, 1 o'clock. Cuba, daytime. Here. Now, 5:30 Encyclopedia, some of those are normal. But 770 Artemisa, I've never heard them before in daytime. Trying to think what the other one was. Was it 670 Rebeldi I've heard before. 640 Progresso is I've heard before, but they're not common. This week they've been steady all week, daytime. It's because of these shorter days. So there you go. So yes, my friend Greg, well done on the new one and the nice distance. Count those distance records, man. Our friend Walt, Coastal Waves and Wires, in the chat said he hates that delayer absorption in the summer. You know what that actually can do, though? I don't have a scientific basis for this. It's just my anecdotal observation, what I've seen. The graveyarders, in the wintertime, you're getting those stations that are like 600, 700, 800 miles out. You're getting those real far distances, a little bit further out. Because everything's more open. You get more skywave propagation on the graveyarders during this time of the year. Summertime, that's when you're getting all those like close in ones. So if you look at your logs, if you have any of those close in stations in that kind of 300 to 500 mile range that you really haven't heard, maybe 200 to 500 mile range in the graveyarders, you haven't heard them yet. And you're like, what? Why haven't I heard those guys yet? Try it in the summertime because there will be less of that skywave. There's more attenuation on some of those signals. So those other ones that are a little bit closer in have a chance to come through. This is something that my dad and I were talking about a couple years ago. We had started, and I was like, you know what I've noticed? And he said that, and I was like, I've noticed that too. Wintertime, my graveyard catches are much further out. Summertime, they're a lot closer in. And I've heard stuff in the summertime that I wouldn't hear any other time of the year because they're being covered up by skywave. So something to noodle on a little bit. All right, so that's our first round of shout-outs. Congratulations, Rick, Greg, Jeff, David, on all your catches, and we'll get to you, Sean, Carl, David, Harden in Georgia, and my Mexico Mike J here in the next round here this next hour. Don't forget you can go ahead and get your shout-outs in right now, dxchallenges.com/shoutout. All right, let's take a look here. Mexico Mike J says, I got KUAZ Tucson multiple times this week long after sunrise. You know why he's putting that in the chat, right? Because I'm still chasing those guys. Not even a hint of them yet. Not even like could that be them? Not even a little bit. All right. Let's talk some FMDX, my friend. Let's look up here at the Tropo map and see what we got in store for us this week, because it could be pretty interesting. So I'm going to put this link in the chat for those of you who may not be familiar. Let's see. There we go. This is Bill Hepburn's Tropo forecast at the DX Info Center. So he's got a lot of stuff here at the DX Info Center, but he's most famously known in the DX world for his Tropo forecast map. He's got a meteorology background. He combines that with his DX background, and he was able to come up with a really cool way to give us a Tropo forecast, and it's pretty spot on. Now, it doesn't always get down to the FM, but, like if you're looking 2 meters, 162 megahertz weather band, things like that, it's almost always going to be spot on. Remember, Tropo works its way down, and frequency starts higher and works its way down the FM, right? So right now it is what UTC? It is so it's 2501, right? So we're right here at 014031. There it is, 0131. So let's go ahead and get to that here as close as we can. So this is what is brewing right now. Okay. So we got 2 main areas I'm kind of keeping an eye on. All this down here in the southeast is going to be cooking. And then up here in the mid-Atlantic and with the New England area. So right now we've got this front that's coming through this evening here into the Gulf South here. So boot crew north up in Arkansas, into Texas, here into Louisiana proper, up in Mississippi, Alabama, if you're watching. it's starting to develop this little frontal tropo right here. That's pretty typical when you have a front coming through. You'll see some tropo happening. But watch what happens. This thing is going to slowly make its way through. Tomorrow, we're going to have some storms and stuff. And normally after the front comes through, it clears everything out, and you've got the colder air behind it, and that kills the tropo, right? But watch what happens here. It's really interesting because it's going to be muggy for a bit here. So this is midnight tonight, my local time. So this is the next 600 UTC Saturday morning. Okay, look at this now. So that it was kind of right here along the skinny part of the front right here, right? Kind of a little bit right along the line. Look as it starts to kind of bulk up. Now up here in New England, Northeast, it's kind of still off your coastline. You got a little bit here, maybe along the eastern, southeast coast here in the Georgia, Charleston, Savannah. I used to see that one all the time when I was down there. That kind of Savannah pipeline. But getting a little bit more now into Alabama, into Tennessee here as well. And look at this little marginal up here into parts of Kentucky and Indiana. Now, maybe the strength is down a little bit, but we're still kind of seeing some of that same stuff. Now, Barry, up in mid-Tennessee, in this area, you might be adjacent to some of this tropo here. Now, it's still a bit further north than me here, so I'm not going to probably be seeing a lot of this yet. And then it's going to start to clear out as we get into the morning hours Saturday. I'm talking like 7 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Central Time, so in there. So you start to see that kind of clear out as that front starting to kind of come through. But watch what happens as we get into Sunday, and then here we go again into Monday. So this is around noon Central Time on Sunday. Look at it come. Boom. Florida, all along the Gulf Coast, all up into Mississippi, Texas, parts of Oklahoma, parts of Arkansas. This is starting to build in. This is at midnight Monday morning Central Time. Look at this now. Look at it all into Alabama, into Georgia, into Mississippi. We're starting to see even this kind of weaker tropo up in here, but you're going to be adjacent and close enough to some of the stronger tropo that I would say our friends up Boot Crew North, Ethan, and folks, you guys might be seeing some tropo up your way as well here as we head into Monday morning. And now it starts to kind of break up a little bit as we push into it's 12 o'clock Monday morning. And we're still a couple days out on this, so these forecasts can obviously change. And it's changed a bit since I started looking at this the other day. But you'll see it's kind of sticking around a bit. You look at this big, nice area here. We're talking fair, moderate to high tropo up into most parts of Alabama, central Alabama, Georgia, into Mississippi, even in South Carolina. Look at all this. So there's a large amount of the southeast here that could see at least some tropo. And then look at the North Carolina, South Carolina, starting to see some up in here as well. And now the second front was going to come through on Wednesday, and that's where it's going to clear it out. You see, it's going to kill it. It's going to get cold, and then we're going to be doing nothing here. So yeah, that's that second front coming through as we get into Monday. But it's going to be kind of the pea soup fog and nice thick mugginess down here on the Gulf South here as we get into Monday until that second front comes through and wipes it all out. So that's what we're looking at here from an FM standpoint. So for folks on the FM side, if you're an FM DXer and you're in the Southeast, definitely keep an eye on the tropo forecast. Keep an eye on your auto loggers. Let's actually go back here really quick. I want to make sure we do this too. And I'll drop this link in the chat as well. This is the all tuners map for auto loggers. Okay. So this is all of the different auto loggers that are out there on the Rabbit Ears website doing their thing. And this is the last 24 hours what they've seen. Okay. If it's a gray line, it's a little bit older. It's got more than 30 minutes is a light gray. Dark gray is in the last 30. And then the last 15 minutes is the dark kind of black color, right? So this will be a great thing to watch for this tropo. Is if you want to see if like it's starting to pop and these auto loggers are starting to see stuff, look here. This is also where you want to keep an eye out, by the way, for E-skip. I mentioned it in the intro for the show here earlier that this time of the year they're peaking in the peak of their summertime right now in the southern hemisphere. Right, the E-skip season is peaking right now for them. Right, this is like late June, early July for us. Right, this is their absolute best time of E-skip down southern hemisphere. We're getting a little bit of that coming up across the equator here, making its way into our neck of the woods. And so that can happen this week after Christmas, first week of January. I think it was like January 2nd last year that we had a nice opening into Colorado, New Mexico, into that way from down here in Louisiana. So definitely keep an eye on this map for Tropo and for eSkip. And don't forget, you can also keep an eye on this map, and I'll put the link in here as well. This is the last 30 minutes map on FM list. So this is all the loggings that have been submitted on FM list in the last 30 minutes. This is another one of those that can be a great way to see Tropo openings and eSkip openings. And if it's an eSkip, you'll see the donuts, right? You'll see the big green circles that kind of show kind of the area, rough estimate of who should be experiencing eSkip. If it's Tropo, you'll just see the green lines coming in. But you'll see over here in Europe, they have a little bit of some stuff going on. It's a little Tropo this evening into Europe, parts of Europe. But you'll see that here as well. So those are the two maps that I keep an eye on this time of the year for Tropo and for eSkip. I'm looking at my Rabbit Ears overall map, everybody's autologger map, and then also keeping an eye on the FM list map. Obviously, if you have your own autologger, which we do here, we have several here at DX Central. This one is our autologger, our 21-foot dipole. This is one of those, and then we have another one with that same antenna. My 62-footer, I have to redo the firmware on that TEF radio. If you have an autologger, obviously keeping an eye on your own autologger is going to be pretty important as well, just to see if anything's happening in your immediate area. So those are some little tidbits from Uncle Lloyd on FMDX in late December, early January, which is going to be our last little bit of hurrah until we get into a real big Tropo season in the spring. All right, I mentioned earlier I wanted to take a look again. We talked about it last week, and I want to make sure that we kind of bring it back up to the surface here. We've been talking all night about these AirSpy improvements, the firmware and the updated beta version of SDR Sharp. So I want to quickly give you the pointers on where to go to find this stuff. And then knowing that we also have our video here, I'll pull up as well for how to update the firmware. I'm going to drop all these links in the chat for you guys. There we go. Okay. So the first one here I'm going to drop in the chat is the firmware update for the AirSpy. So this is going to walk you through how to update your firmware on the AirSpy HF Plus Discovery, what the steps are, okay? Some things to consider, because there's a couple things you want to kind of keep in mind depending on what kind of version you have of the HF Plus Discovery. As we found out this week, our friend Stephanie has like OG version 1 firmware, so she had to do a couple of extra steps that we don't cover in the video, but it's super easy. I didn't cover it in the video because I don't have a version that I could use as an example to show you. So so the first thing you'll want to make sure you do, there's two things. Go to download. If you go to airspy.com and go to download, and I'll drop this one in here as well. So this is where you actually go to get the software that you would use to interface with your AirSpy HF Plus Discovery. So I've mentioned this before. The HF Plus Discovery is the radio, right? It's the replacement of the radio, but all of the like downloading and decoding and all the processing that happens that used to back in the day would happen inside the radio. All that happens in the software now. So really what the radio is, the SDR is that portal to take in the signals and convert that from an analog signal to a digital zeros and ones that the software can then use to do what it needs to do to present it back to you in audio form, right? So all that happens on the software. The SDR is really there to capture and bring in those signals and hopefully do it as quietly as possible, as much sensitivity as possible, with as little overdrive as possible, and most high selectivity, and as best of an audio to digital conversion as you can possibly get to preserve as much of that organic analog signal that's coming in. Okay. So the software that you're going to be running is SDR Sharp. That's if you're using the one we're talking about with the co-channel canceller, that's SDR Sharp. That's what you're going to find on the download page. That's here, this very first one. Now, if you're experienced in this regard, if this is your first SDR rodeo, stick with this version right here, this SDR Sharp right here, version 1920 from April 25th of 2024. That top one's what you want to download. All right. If you're experienced in these matters and you have some abilities about you, you have a couple of different options here you can do for the beta version. You have a 32-bit and a 64-bit. I don't use the 64-bit. I use this 32-bit that's on here. And this is package 1921. This is a beta version, so it's labeled as unstable. So if you run into issues with it, don't be surprised, right? It's the beta version. This is the next release candidate. So once all the bugs have been worked out and all of us who are testing it out say, hey, Yusuf, we found this and this and this and this, he applies all the fixes to those, that will become the stable release that we see up here up top. But if you have experience and you've been working on these for a while, you might try 1921 if you're feeling froggy. Otherwise, if you want a nice, safe, stable environment, 1920 is your best bet. Okay, so that's where you download the actual software to have that you're going to be interfacing with. That is this guy right here. Well, this guy. That's SDR Sharp, okay, that we were looking at earlier. Now, if I want to, if I have the AirSpy HF Plus Discovery, here's what I need to do to pull it into current, most updated firmware. Go up here to Products, and then click on AirSpy HF Plus Discovery, and it's going to bring you to this page. I'm going to drop the link in here in the chat as well. Okay. Now, on this page, this is basically say, hey, you should buy this SDR. It's really awesome. It's got all this cool stuff that it does. You know that if you already have it. If you don't have it, go buy one. It's remarkable what it can do. Down here at the bottom, though, if you scroll all the way, you'll see the technical specifications, supported software, blah, 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 blah. When you start to see the distributor logos, stop. Right here is firmware updates. This is the latest stable version R5.0.1. This is December 11th, 2024. This is the most recent version that just came out. That's what you want. And what this basically is doing is it's flashing your SDR with all the latest ones and zeros internally in that little radio piece we talked about. So it has the best sensitivity and selectivity, least likely to overload, best digital conversion stuff. It's tweaking all the digital stuff inside of there to give you the best possible output in that software that we just showed you, right? So that's what we're doing here. So when you download this, what you'll want to do is watch our video that explains the entire process. You're basically going to extract the zip file that you download into a folder, and then you're going to hit read the README that's on there, the README file that's in that package, because it will also kind of walk you through the steps. But then you'll just make sure your AirSpy is connected, hit the flash.bat, it'll go through its process, it'll finish, you close that out, you disconnect your AirSpy, you reconnect your AirSpy, go into your SDR Sharp, and you're good to go. Okay, we talk about all those steps in the video, we explain it in detail, so make sure you watch the video, but it's really that easy to update your firmware on your AirSpy HF Plus Discovery. Super, super easy. Assuming you don't have version 1.0 like Stephanie did. If you do have that, read the README. It tells you exactly what you need to do to be able to update your firmware. If you have anything after version 1.0, what I just talked about is what you're going to be able to do. And then once you've done that firmware update and you've done your SDR Sharp update to version 1920, or if you're feeling super quirky, 1921 beta, then you're ready to roll, and you have got the absolute best performing SDR that I have worked with in a long time because of all the different things you can do with the code channel canceller, the noise reduction, which the noise reduction in SDR Sharp is the best there is that I found, right? It's better than SDR console for my money, better than the Kiwi. It's just fantastic noise reduction. The only drawback to the AirSpy that most DXers are going to point to is that it can only handle like half the AM band at once. So go get you another one. Go get you a second AirSpy, run them both at the same time in different copies of SDR Sharp. Now you've got the low end, you got the high end. You're done. I kid, but it's really not that big of a deal. I mean, I use it for live DX most of the time anyway, if I'm going to be honest. If I do need to record, it's kind of to capture what I'm de-icing at the time, and then I kind of go back in and fill in the dots with whatever was around it. But you do you. But that's my advice is definitely, if you are looking for your first SDR, AirSpy's HF Plus Discovery, you can't go wrong. And then when the new Ranger comes out, whenever that will be, hopefully in 2025 we'll get that. I hope it's going to be as amazing as the HF Plus Discovery is, if not better, right? All right, we have got a new challenge to announce now, and we're going to pull the rug out from underneath you guys. I'm sorry. This is going to be completely different from any other challenge we've ever done. This might be, for some people, this is going to be the most challenging challenge that we have done in 4 seasons. Some people, it's not going to be that big of a change, honestly. It's going to be like, oh, yeah, I do this all the time. But for a lot of folks, probably myself included, this is going to be a challenging challenge.
In San Diego, Tom Bigabell, KNX 1070.
Winning numbers and tonight's order, lottery cash 3 drawing, 3, 9, and 8. That's 3, 9, and 8. Double cash UNA amplified.
That's the Kudo Cruise. 580 WIBW, Topeka.
Over back taxes. Now the KCMO Weather Channel forecast.
Continues mostly clear with a light northwesterly breeze tonight. Cool. Look for overnight lows in the mid-50s and highs tomorrow under.
So I know I just sat here for the last however long and talked about how amazing the Air Spy is, what a great SDR it is, and now I'm going to go over here and go, no more SDRs for the next 2 weeks. I know that. I understand. But this is going to be an interesting challenge. So let's talk about this. No SDRs. No Air Spy, no Perseus, no Kiwi, no RTL SDRs, no SDR play stuff, nothing. No SDRs. And what we mean by an SDR is, remember I talked about it earlier, I made that distinction for a reason. The processing of the signal happens in the software, right? That's an SDR. None of those. That doesn't mean that you can't use a radio that's connected to a computer, right? We're about to look at that here in a second because I've got one. My ICOM IC7200. And I'm going to use Ham Radio Deluxe's HRD program to control my IC7200. So we have something to look at on screen here, except for my face. So we're going to have that here. That's fine, right? No recordings. No recording reviews. Now, you can do it for your own stuff. That's fine, all right? But for the challenge, no recordings. Live DX only. And that includes, like, got me thinking to yourself, well, I could just set, like, a voice recorder up or some kind of scheduling software on my computer and route the audio through and then do like a 3 o'clock in the morning recording on 620. No recording review. Live DX only. So no SDRs, no recordings. We're going to turn the clock back here 30 years. We're going to DX like I used to do it back in the day. Okay. We're using regular desktop or portable receivers, ham radio transceivers, dedicated receivers like ICOM R72, like I've got up here in the cabinet, Drake R8s, whatever you might have still laying around the house, or a portable with, like, the built-in antenna or a select antenna or a Turk Advantage or one of those. Whatever antennas you currently have are totally fine. If you can plug it into your radio, go for it. I'm using my Kazas. I'm using my Super Loops. That's not changing. I'm still using all my usual assortment of antennas that I normally use here in the shack. That's not going to change. What's going to change is I now have them plugged in through an antenna switch that's coming out of the back of my phaser, and then they're now plugged into the back of my ICOM instead of the back of my Perseus. So there you go. Sean says using the KX9X, using the ICOM 7300 for show. Go for it, man. No recordings. But, as long as all of the processing and the audio work is being done inside the radio, in the guts of the radio, not in a bit of software that's running externally to it, there you go. You're good. So, with that in mind, would you guys like to... Oh, come on. Would you guys like to see... I had this pulled up earlier, and it's timed out on me. Let's go ahead and pull up our HRD, our copy of HRD here. And we're going to DX off the ICOM IC7200 with our HRD software as our... Just as a control surface. That's all it is. It's just changing the frequency and the sideband. That's all we're doing. And we're going to remote into our ham radio computer to do that. And so let's go ahead and I think this is on here. There we go. That's it. So we're going to be looking at for the next 2 weeks. And we're going to change this to ICOM IC 7200. There you go. We are kicking it old school here. I might try to change that. That doesn't really show very well here on screen. Let's change that to... Well, that's even worse. I need something that's got bright. I need a bright one here. Ultraviolet. That'll work, I guess. Anyway, you get the point. That'll work. There you go. That's nice and bright. Full screen off of that. All right, so we've got the ICOM IC7200. Ooh, the chat has gone crazy over here. That was from the DX test. We got our ICOM IC7200 pulled up. We have our HRD software. You guys let me know where you want to start DXing, and we'll make that happen. We'll go DX wherever you guys want to do it. Again, the full band is open here. So for this challenge, just like with the last one, no restrictions on frequency. No, in this one, no restrictions on timing. Morning, noon, night, sunset, sunrise. You got wide open. Like I said, the only difference is we're just turning the dial back 30 years, and we're DXing like we used to do it back in the day. Albeit, I'll say this, with much improved antennas than what I used to use back in the day. much improved antennas. More noise, better antennas, same kind of gear though. All right, let's turn up the audio here. We got our audio turned up. Got that running through our interface here. Tell me where you want me to start, guys. We're looking south, by the way. We're looking south, southeast. Those are the directions that we're looking here. Okay, so that brings up a good point, Jake. Jacob mentioned. Jacob says no stream matching, IDs only. I'll leave that up to you. If you're going to use the technology that we have available today, like live streams, Kiwis and things like that, to help you identify a station and get in the logbook, I'm okay with that, right? If you really want to like put the difficulty level on hard here and not do that, go for it. If you want to put it on medium and use that technology to help you kind of get that stuff into the logbook, go ahead. I'm okay with that. Because I mean, we even like 96, 97, we had some of that. We had maybe not online receivers. We had some streaming stuff that we could use back then. It was rudimentary, but you know, we definitely had like forums and different things that we could use and clips and things like that to match up with. So I'm okay if you want to use all of those different technologies to help you match up to what you're hearing on your radio. That's fine. So I don't have a problem with that, I guess. But you know, if you want to challenge yourself to do it like we used to do it back in the day and make it difficult, to only get those IDs and you have to ID it what you're hearing live, I'm cool with that too. Yeah, you know what? Let's do that. Sean says he's going old school, no SDRs, no live stream, live DX only. Let's do that. Let's make it even for everybody. No online streams, no Kiwis. I'm actually going to turn mine off up here. I'm going to leave it up online for everybody who's out there using stuff, but not going to use it here in the shack. So no online SDRs, no streams. After I think about it a little bit more here, there you go. Yeah, no recordings, no online streams, no Kiwis, none of the technology stuff that we have available to us now. We're going old school, dialing the clock back 30 years, only looking for IDs and what we can capture in a live environment on the radio that we're listening on live, and it's a non-software defined radio. Everybody cool with that? After some thought, I think that's the way to go. So we're going to sit here and let's bring back the audio. Yeah. Now, okay. If you have the NRC AM radio log and you're keeping it up to date, awesome. But if you don't, I mean, if you don't have that, you have to use some sort of station list, medium wave list, Tim Trump's website. That's fine, because you have to have something to compare by. Not everybody's going to have the NRC AM radio log, unfortunately. So if you're using like a list like that, we had lists in the 90s and 94, 95. We had station lists that were out there. You could access on the FCC website and stuff. I used it back in the day. So yeah, if you want to do that, that's cool. But streaming, no streams, no online receivers, none of those kind of pieces of technology. We're keeping this like 1995. About that. Since it's 2025, we're going to dial it back exactly 30 years to 1995. White's radio log. Jacob says he did have cassette decks on Timers Free SDR. I had stuff, right? But now I will be using my Bandicam to capture IDs in AirCheck so I can upload to the YouTube channel. But I'm not using that Bandicam to record it and then review that later for IDs. Difference in, you can record stuff, just not like as a DXing tool. It can only be like, I want to capture this ID from so-and-so to have the air check. That's fine. I will be doing that. This is going to be on 660. Let's look here. We're on the South Wire. I'm going to go down. You know what I'm looking for here.
DX Central Live, top of the hour alert.
There we go. Trust me. Let me get past the top of the hour. I'm going to tell you guys a little story.
IdentifyEPI.com and speak with your doctor. That's IdentifyEPI.com. Sponsored by AbbVie. This is Rocky Moreau with International Stars. Over the past 45 years, we have named millions of stars for celebrities, dignitaries, and worldwide. Find out, call to 800-283-3333. StarRegister.com. Name of stars is the ultimate Christmas gift. Star name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Office. StarRegister.com for calls. 3333. The brightest gift. That's 800-233-3333. DRS. President-elect Trump asking the Supreme Court to postpone the mandated deadline for the social media platform. Banned and offended the court.
So there's KTRS. Let's go down one. I was going to start in the low end of the band and work my way up like we normally used to do back in the day. Yeah, let's go check them out. This is already a change. I don't want to be rewinding. So a quick nugget. So when I first decided I was going to do this challenge, I did this. I mapped out the entire rest of the season back in October or something like that. I mapped out what I want to do for all these challenges for the rest of the year. And so when I first started it, my goal was to put in, I was going to have the Drake R8 sitting right here to my left, and just plug like I did here. I'm just going to have a channel antenna switch coming out, and I was going to have one start of the switch go to the Drake, and then the Drake's not working. I fired it up, not working. I was like, oh, okay, let me try my ICOM, my R72 receiver. Not working. Neither of my two like old school receivers that I used back in the 90s, which was the whole goal that I wanted to do here, was use like my 90s gear. Neither of them worked. Now, I wouldn't have had anything to show here on screen, except for maybe like Tim Trump's list. I could put that on screen. But I had a Drake R8 and I had an ICOM R72 lined up ready to roll. Neither one worked. So the 7200 was my consolation prize of what we're going to be using this. There you go. Here's Radio Encyclopedia, and I hear Rebeldi underneath them. And I think the challenge page should now be active. Let's go take a look. I don't take anything for granted with this website today. So that's Rebeldi and Encyclopedia. If I really wanted to go back in the day, I would have grabbed the Panasonic RF3100, but it's also not working. No frequency display. If anybody has an old copy of M Street Directory they want to break out, that was my favorite back in the day. I loved that thing. I was an M Street Directory fiend. It was them and NRC log open every single DX session. And of course, World Radio TV Handbook for the international stuff. That's what we had. That was pre-internet, which I got internet in 94. I'm just double checking our page here. Yep, I've got a Super Radio 3 up here. I've got my DX286. My Sony ICF 2010, which does still work. Gonna be probably getting a workout this week, next 2 weeks. Yeah, it's running super sluggish for me right now, Jacob. All right, it's there. It looks a little weird, but it loaded for me. How's it looking like that? It didn't look like that. I've been fighting this website all day. Actually, for the last couple of days. All right, we are past top of the hour time. Okay, now I hit a refresh and now it looks better. Okay, so it's there. The page is there. I'm gonna do a direct link for it. Obviously, you have to log in to get to it. So there you go. RCA Victor K60, my man. I should have taken a picture of the radio I saw yesterday. We have a little thrift store that I just found here in the area yesterday. It had an amazing radio. I should have taken a picture for you guys. I forget the model on it, but it was gorgeous. Vintage. It was a gorgeous, gorgeous rig, and I should have taken a picture to put it into the Slack channel for you guys this week. Tom's going to use the the GE Super Radio 2. Been recapped and aligned by Chuck Rappel. Nice. Do you guys know anybody that works on like old Drakes, ICOMs, things like that? I want to get that R8 back up and running, if nothing else. It probably needs to be recapped. But I just want to find someone who can do the work on it, because I really, really want that radio up and running in the shack. All right, not hearing anything here on 540. With KTRS here on 550.
We have not fared well against this is when you look at this, followed by heading to Philadelphia. So the way this game works out,
I'll be very interested to see what everyone's using this week. If you'll notice here on the form, I took all the SDRs out. So you can't even pick an SDR. It's portables and desktops and car stereos. That's all that's going to be there. The full band. Transatlantic, transoceanic.
Kansas City. Better than it's a win here.
I got one of those SRF 59s sitting up here in the cabinet, man. Great radio.
We're going to get both the games.
Great radio.
And then you said back here on 14, you get a chance to welcome Kansas City.
560.
That's what makes those spots such a big deal, with him getting his own son, and then also getting private son. So the issue, only thing I have.
I'll probably be swapping out my antennas that are plugged into this radio this week, just to get a mix of stuff.
Because they're not going to stay long. They might tell you what I'm here for.
All right. Tube radio. Yeah. If you have anything, radios that you want me to add to the list, then please do. Send those over to me in the Slack channel this week on the website issues page. I mean, it's not an issue, but if you have something you want me to add on the list, specific kind of tube radio or any other kind of radio, things like that, add that in, and I'll add that onto the list so you guys have that to choose from, because I think it'd be cool to see what folks are out there using. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to do some more DX tonight because we have no choice but to do it live. We are going to talk about the PA0 RDT mini whips we have coming in and get to more of your shout outs. So don't go anywhere, my friends. More DX Central Live is heading your way right after this.
DX Central, because we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central. DX Central Live is brought to you in part by...
With a lifetime membership, the International Radio Club of America gives DXers incredible value by putting important station information right at your fingertips. The club's e-publication, the DX Monitor, includes DXer loggings, station information updates, international loggings, and more. Other club publications include the IRCA Mexican Log, a must-have resource for any DXer that chases stations from Mexico, the TIS-HAR list, the IRCA slogan list, sunset sunrise maps, and DXer technical guides. The joint IRCA-NRC email reflector and groups.io group is a hub for real-time DX conditions, station news, and DX-related conversation. For more information, visit ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org. From long wave to satellites, medium wave through HF, ham radio to scanners. If you can DX it, the Spectrum Monitor has you covered. Editor and publisher Ken Reitz has assembled a who's who of radio writers to share their knowledge and expertise from a wide range of DX-related topics. Each month, the Spectrum Monitor's columnists dive into their specialties to give readers tips, tricks, the latest news and station updates, and more. The Spectrum Monitor also provides a monthly assortment of feature articles that give in-depth insight into the past, present, and future of DXing. You can get a full year of the Spectrum Monitor for only $24. Individual issues from the current year are available for $3 each. You can also purchase previous years of the Spectrum Monitor in their entirety for as low as $12. For more information, visit thespectrummonitor.com. That's thespectrummonitor.com. For more than 90 years, the National Radio Club has been at the forefront of providing DXers with the latest in station news, DX-related technical information, and reception reports from DXers around the world. The NRC's AM radio log, now in its 45th edition, is the most expansive and detailed resource of station information for U.S. and Canadian radio stations that is available in any format. The club's publication, the DX News, is available in both print and electronic format and provides the latest information on call letter and format changes, construction permits, and other information to help keep DXers informed of the latest updates they may hear on the air. For more information, visit their website at nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. In languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams, we listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central. Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
Oh my God!
You're watching DX Central Live with Lloyd Van Horn, and that's a very wise thing to do.
Yo, two boxers in the park, arguing after dark, hog periodic in the hand, talking bands across the land. But the Yaki got the mic, pulling stations late at night, dialing up the distant sound, arguing tech all around. Log versus Yaki, which one's the key to hear the far-off frequency in the FMC?
From the DX Central North Shore Studios, this is DXC Live. Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
It's DX Central Live from the North Shore Studios here in Mandeville, Louisiana, Studio A.
Lord versus Yaki, which one's the key to hear the far-off frequency in the FMC.
You'd be surprised how often I find myself singing that song in my head while I'm doing antenna work or whatever, bouncing around the house. We just launched our next challenge in the medium wave frequency challenge pantheon of challenges, the No SDR Live DX Only Challenge. And so if you just joined us and Earl just jumped in, we're dialing the back 30 years on the dial here on the clock. We're going to only be using no SDR work, only portables, desktops, consoles, transistor radios, crystal kits, whatever you have that's not an SDR. And live DX only, no recording review. Like I said, you can do that for your own stuff, like for your own log if you're chasing a station. I'm not going to sit here and, try to keep a log out of somebody's logbook, but for the purposes of our challenge, no recording review and no online streams to compare to, no online SDRs to compare to. You can use like Tim Trump's list or like Medium Wave list or one of those sites. That's fine. To have like a station list. That's cool. But outside of that, we're dialing it back 30 years to 1995, since we're, right here on the line of 2025. 1995, the way I used to DX back in the day, yo. Now, the only thing is I really wanted to have this Drake R8 or this ICOM sitting here that I used to use back in 95. But neither of them are working at the time, so my compromise is I have my ICOM IC7200, which is plugged into a computer that I can control here. So I can control the radio from here, but it's not a software-defined radio. All the processing, conversions, all that stuff is happening inside the radio. Therefore, it is not an SDR. Therefore, it is allowed. That's the determination. Where does the processing happen? Is it inside the radio? Is it inside the software? If it's software, no. Like my Flex radio, can't use my Flex radio. All the processing happens in the software. Alrighty. Party like it's 1995. For the next challenge, we have to log stations by visiting them. My man. Oh, outstanding. You guys are going to love the rest of these challenges. I mean, this one's going to be fun. Like, it's going to be a grind. It's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be fun to kind of get back to what we used to do back in the day. But some of the rest of the challenges that we have lined up for the rest of the year, there's some that are probably like, you're probably like, well, I expect to see this one, I expect to see that one. You're probably right for most of them. But there's some that are coming that you're going to be like, whoa. Because I just sat down here in like September or October one day and I was like, all right, let's do this. And I mapped them all out all the way through the end of the season. And I've moved a couple of them around a little bit and said, let's do this one this week instead of this week or whatever. But man, there's some good stuff coming. All right, so let's do our next round of shout-outs here and get to some of the good stuff you guys have been getting to this week.
Shout out loud, hear the call for every single big or small, from AM to FM to C to C. We celebrate the ones who slag your IT. Shout out loud, let it be known, you're never DXing all alone. Through the static we found our way. Shout-outs making waves today.
All right, this is round 2 of our shout-out. So got a couple more folks in here who have submitted since did our last round. dxchallenges.com/shoutout. Get those in. dxchallenges.com/shoutout. You don't have to register to put a shout-out in, but I think it's a good idea because you're going to want to be part of these challenges because they're fun. Right? All right. Our friend Sean Kutsko. We had that little promo that I mentioned that I have that we load up here sometimes coming out of an ad break, and it talks about how Sean had himself a week. He had himself a week last week, and he had himself another week this week. Okay, Sean, dude, he's crushing it. He put those bogs up at his house, and yeah, it's doing quite well. And he even has one. I wish I could do this. He's got a bog at his house that he has that runs into his neighbor's property. he got their permission, okay? He got their permission. I just wish I would have to do it like 4 different houses to get mine to 250 feet or something like that. Seriously, I'm not even joking. It would take about 3 to 4 houses for me to. I have to negotiate with all of my neighbors to get an antenna that long. With a holiday week, he says, I'm mostly focused on this week's daytime challenge. That was part of the design, my friend. I was quite happy with the propagation around 8:30 a.m. Central Time, logging stations in Colorado, North and South Dakota, Wyoming, Manitoba, and Nebraska. Of the 82 stations I logged for the challenge, I logged 4 new ones. WEVR 1550, River Falls, Wisconsin. KLGR 1490, Redwood Falls, Minnesota. KTIC 840, West Point, Nebraska. And WFXN 1230, Moline, Illinois. The big news was 2 more new states. Now, you guys remember last week in our challenge, he got Oregon and Idaho. He got Oregon and Idaho last week, right? Well, here you go. The big news this week was 2 more new states. That's 4 states in 2 weeks. Directly on the heels of logging Idaho and Oregon just before last week's show, I was able to hear the WZON-DX test from Maine with fair signals. Thank God for Morse code IDs. Hear that. And then, the very next night, he snagged WVMT 620 Burlington, Vermont. That was states number 44 and 45, including Oregon and Idaho from the previous week. 4 new states in 48 hours. Ugh. Other than Alaska and Hawaii, the only states left are Delaware, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island. Now sitting at 964 unique logs on AM. And he also recently caught, on the 23rd, audio from KTWO 1030 in Casper, Wyoming. So we've got some more stuff to do here. I have to fire off some more fireworks because we got 2 new states. And of course the new logs. I once had a neighbor ask me about my antenna that I was putting up, and I told him it was a very sophisticated clothesline. And then I walked away. I didn't say anything else. I just walked away. Here's that clip from KTWO, 1030 kilohertz. There you go. K2 Radio. The first time I heard that one, I was in San Antonio at my granny's house, and we were there June of '93, and heard K2 for the very first time, and I thought I had reached the pinnacle of DX. I was like, I just heard Wyoming. Yeah. Carl DeWitt, Tennessee, up next. Carl had some new logs, but none for the challenge this week. 6 new logs, none for the challenge. 620 WJDX in Jackson, Mississippi, WZON in Bangor, Maine. DX test for the new state, very nice. 1320 WCOG, Greensboro, North Carolina. 930 WPAT, Patterson, New Jersey. WDLX, Washington, North Carolina. And 1570 XERF in Ciudad Acuña, Mexico, baby. I would do my Wolfman Jack impersonation, but that would not be. No, you can't. If you can't get anywhere close to it, don't even bother doing it. For a new Latin American and a new Mexican state, although I logged no new ones on the daytime challenge, I did get stations in 19 states. They were Ohio. Hold on, my screen just went black over here. Okay, I'll come back to that. Ohio, Missouri, Illinois, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Kentucky, Virginia, Georgia, West Virginia, Maryland, New Jersey, Alabama, New York, Massachusetts, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Indiana, and Connecticut. And also 1 Canadian province, Ontario. Logged 4 stations over 600 miles. The best was 1030 WBZ Boston, Mass. at 745 miles. Also 1540 KXEL Waterloo at 651 miles. 1080 WTIC Hartford, 642 miles. And 810 WGY in Schenectady, 634 miles. So we got a... Whoops. Yeah, he got state. Yeah, we got fireworks for him. Yeah, I was gonna say Carl's got that. He's been training for this. Carl's been training for this week's challenge for what, since the summer. So he's ready to roll. He's got his whole process ready. Take care, Jim. So he's got that. He's got the new Latin American station. So we're gonna do that, baby. He also got himself a new Mexican state, so we gotta do this one, baby. And some new logs for him in there too, so this will solve that log for him. Well done, Carl, my friend. I expect big things from you this next 2 weeks. 2 weeks of the No SDR challenge. Portables, desktops, consoles, all of that is fair game. David Harden, Georgia. Guess what, my friends? You got some good stuff here. Daytime DX from Central Georgia found WDUN 550 Gainesville, distance of 151 miles. When I moved to Brasstown, that was the first station I logged. Love WDUN. WBOB 600 from Jacksonville, Florida for Christmas. Got a Quotes in DX 286, and he loves it. I can see why I have heard 286 owners need the manual, as there are so many functions to learn. Yeah, I was sitting down with Mom on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve. We were trying to figure out how to switch bands to shortwave, and I completely forgot. So I need to go back and RTFM. There you go, my friend. Well done, my friends. Well done. Yeah, we were trying to figure out how to. We were on AM band, and she wanted to check a 15 meg frequency, and I was like, I don't know how to do direct entry on this thing yet. We'll figure it out. Mexico Mike J, you are up now, my friend, and we've got you in here with a few new logs. KTOK 1000 in Oklahoma, KEXB 1440 in Tejas, KLPF 1180 in Tejas, plus a new AirSpy HF Plus Discovery to get working during the holidays. My friend, that is awesome. We're going to start with the logs. And I just realized I forgot to do this one for you, Carl, so I'm going to lump this one in here. You and Mexico Mike J both get this one. You get the new gear. There, we're gonna unbox this sucker. Yeah! Look into that box and see what we got. Sweet! Outstanding, man. Well done, my friend. Looking forward to seeing some more good stuff for you on that AirSpy. And get you a splitter combiner. DX Engineering has 50 and 75 ohm versions. Get you a splitter combiner, and you can throw your antenna into both the Kiwi and the AirSpy, and oh, it's amazing. Our friend Stephanie out in the desert, Palm Desert, 2 new logs for the daytime challenge. Forgot how much fun daytime DX can be, right? 1350 KTIK, Nampa, Idaho, 5 kilowatts at 676 miles. Idaho number 15 from Hacienda. See what I'm saying? 1080 KGVY in Green Valley, Arizona, 1 kilowatt at 336 miles. Arizona number 57 from the Hacienda. Well done, my friend. That's exactly what I was hoping to see. I was hoping to see some people being able to take advantage of that daytime DX in the short days of the year and enhanced propagation to get new stuff. And that's what we got. I'm so happy for that, man. So happy. All right. We're going to do some FMDX here a little bit later on. We got some more of those meteor scatter recordings to review. And we're going to let's take a look at a live look at the band right now and just see how it looks if we have any tropo coming in. Because, I mean, there's some frontal tropo building here in the area. Let's just take a gander. let's see. Wait for this to pull up. What we have. Okay, doesn't look like it's too full. So this is a normal band here in Mandeville for the most part. This is the entire FM band from bottom to top on the ELAD FDMS3. That's pretty normal. You got some pretty big gaps of dark blue here. That lets us know there's not a whole lot coming in on those. Obviously, we have some weaker signals and traces. If I saw less of that dark blue and more of this kind of like light blue to like a yellowish in some of these in between, that would tell me there's some good tropo coming in, but I don't have any of that right now. So we can also look on our Studio B computer here. Another way that we can tell if tropo is in the neighborhood is by looking on our Studio B copy of SDR Sharp, looking on our weather band. So I've mentioned before that tropo starts high and works its way down, right? So this is 162 megahertz compared to what we were looking before, which was 88 to 108, right? So 162, a bit higher in frequency there on just above the 2-meter amateur radio band. And so tropo should hit it first, right? In the sequence of events, it should hit there before you would see it on FM, and if all things being equal. And these two here are my locals. This is a nearby local. I would sometimes see this 400 with Baton Rouge coming in if it was a little bit of tropo enhancement, but there's nothing going on right now. So it's dead band right now. No tropo scatter, no nothing. This is just normal dead band conditions here in Mandeville. So nothing on the FM band cooking for tonight. So if we do any FM DX tonight, it will be reviewing the recording of the meteor scatter stuff we did for the Geminids. But I do want to get back to some AM DX here on the ICOM IC7200. If you just joined us, if you are just jumping in, we are doing a new challenge this week. Last week was our first challenge that we were doing that wasn't a designated set of frequencies. We're opening it up so that you can do more than just a set of frequencies, the entire FM band, but we're doing around themes. Our theme this week is no SDRs, live DX only. So only turn the clock back 30 years. No SDRs, no software-defined radios, no Perseus, no AirSpy, no SDR Play, no Kiwi, no RTL SDR, no Wind Radio, none of this stuff, right? I took those off. You can't even log if you can't even choose as an option on the logging on the challenge page. Only actual like hardware radios, desktops, portables, consoles, transistors, whatever you want to use for those, but it's got to be something that is not a software. Stephanie says, aren't the Geminids coming in on the meteor scatter front? That should be wrapped up. I think Geminids is wrapped up here. Let me just confirm. I know it peaked the week of the 13th. So it might still be going. Let's see. Peak is in mid. It's visible until the 21st. So yeah, we're past the Geminids now. Let's see what we do have, if we have anything. Shower for 2024 into 2025. The currently active is called the Quadrantids. The next major meteor shower isn't the Lyrids until April. That's when we're having our next major meteor shower. We have this one right now that we're in, the Quadrantids, between now and the 16th of January. Peaks on the 2nd, 3rd of January. Not sure how active that one is usually. But our next, after that, we won't have another like big meteor shower until April. So that's not to say that meteor scatter won't happen, and I'm really hoping something happens in March of either tropo or meteor scatter, so I can have some March logs. Because March is just a big gaping hole of nothing right now. Meteor scatter can happen anytime. Meteors happen all the time. Meteor shower is just the best time because there's more of them, right? But you could have some meteor scatter, so that's why these auto loggers are so important. Things like that. So definitely keep an eye on the sky in that regard. Let's do some more AMDX. While we're doing that, one of the things I did want to kind of take a look at is if you, this is our last live stream before the end of the year, right? So here in the next hour, we're going to talk about some numbers from 2024, right? Obviously, we still have some days left to add to this, but if you want to get your 2024 numbers gathered up, we'll circle back around to this with some final numbers next show here when we get into 2025. We'll put a pin and put in that and put a final tally on the year. But if you want to start gathering these up, I'll give you some ideas of some of the stuff I'm tracking from my side. We can kind of look at those together. So we'll be doing that here in the next hour. But back to some live DX. This brought to you by the International Radio Club of America, IRCAOnline.org. For more information about membership and becoming a member of the IRCA, go to IRCAOnline.org. See, I actually have to turn the audio up on the radio directly. I'm just changing the RF gain. In order for you to hear the audio, I have to do that as a knob on the radio. Amazing. All right, we're starting here on the bottom part of the band and working our way up as we typically used to do back in the day. We had an ID from 550 KTRS earlier. We know we have Radio Encyclopedia on 530. Also, Rebellity's underneath them as well here. 540, I haven't got an ID out of just yet. We'll keep checking. KTSA should also be here on the 550 as well. We'll keep looking for them. 560, though, no ID yet. Let's see what we got. We're on our South Cas, looking 175 degrees.
Sometimes when you see a number that high, 10 on 1, isn't that scary? Absolutely. When you see the tickets coming from the backside, that's different. It's always
Earl, yeah, that's fine. I mean, this one I'm using right now, it's the computer controlled ICOM IC7200, but it's all the processing is happening inside the radio itself, so that counts. That's fine. SDR means if the actual processing of the signals is happening in the radio or in the software. And SDR is like the Perseus, the AirSpy, SDR Play, all those. It's happening in software external to the radio. The Flex radio, it's all happening external, things like that.
7.5-point roll favors feels a little like a trap game. For me, where are the sharps on this?
Antennas. All antennas are fine. Any antenna you've got, any antenna you want to use is A-OK. FSLs, CASs, DCASs, bogs, long wires, loops, quantum loops, super loops, duper loops. Whatever you've got. Beverages. Anything you've got in the air, on your desk, up and against the window, whatever you want to use, is A-OK. It's just the SDR, and it has to be live DX. No recording review, live DX only. I'll be very interested to see the results from this week. Very interested. This is going to be super interesting. Uper loops, yep. Uper loops, U-loops, and Uper loops. All are A-OK. Let's go ahead and take a look back real quick while we are here at our last challenge. Just reviewing the numbers because that's now closed out. This is a daytime challenge. Barry, 334 stations logged. I know that's daytime, but that's still pretty impressive. Greg right there behind with 191. Neil with 187. 157 up there in Ontario. Mexico Mike J, 83, my friend. Sean, 82. He stuck in 74 here in Mandeville. John, 69, up in Arizona. Up in Maine, Dave snagged 35. Stephanie snagged 32. 28 for Mark. Greg was 16. Matt was 6. Walter with 3. 2 for Jerry. And there's another Mark, actually. 830 unique stations heard. Levi's state logs. The hula loop. That's actually not a bad idea. Stephanie. 32 states for Barry, 26 for Greg. Neil, 21. Him and David both. You can see up here, 101 stations in New York were logged. You can tell where a lot of our DXers were located. 3 countries for Barry. We heard 3 here as well, Mexico and Cuba. A couple countries here for Stephanie and Sean and Neil and so forth. Mileage. Look at that, 1,100 miles for David from WSB. It's those big stations that are still lingering, those 50Ks, that Skywave, man. It lingers throughout the day. That's how I heard WOAI 1200 in the middle of the day in the wintertime in Brasstown.
We got 2 weeks left. This week, next week. There we go. I appreciate Lamar knowing what's up.
And look at this, the top 4 radios used were all SDRs. 5 of the top 6 were all SDRs. 7 of the top 11 were SDRs. Not anymore. That's going away. I'm going to be very interested in this one.
And last call. And last call, too. 877-9905. 877-9905. You want to get in? We had a long show, some great stuff. We haven't been able to get in.
Take care of Steph.
877-9905. Hit us up. It is the October Clockwork Radio. Last call time on the odd call.
It's probably Memphis.
There are all sorts of videos from your favorite shows and
Sean already with the log submitted. Well done, man.
You'll always be prepared. Whether it's for road trips, ice storms, or power outages, walkie-talkies offer reliable communication when needed most. Keep in touch with your loved ones during winter events or emergencies with ease. Rapid Radios, well, they provide a dependable line of communication, ensuring you're never out of reach. Visit rapidradios.com and receive up to 60% off and an additional 5% off using the code RADIO. Rapid Radios, reliable companion to all seasons. Lowe's knows how to help you save time and money, no matter the job. That's why we can deliver supplies to your job as soon as same day. You have more time to get the job done. You need it fast. Lowe's knows.
And just like with other weeks, like this last week, and all these theme weeks for the most part, not all of them, but most of them, Pirates count, TIS stations count. There's some that will not. You'll see those very clearly, though. But this week, next 2 weeks here with this challenge, everything is good. As long as it's originating on that frequency, you can log it.
Or use to smoke. Along with new treatments, lung cancer screening saves lives. If you are 50 to 80 years old and smoke or used to smoke, talk to your doctor about lung cancer screening. For more information and to find a screening center near you, visit the National Lung Cancer Roundtable at nlcrt.org.
It's easier than you think for pests to threaten your family's health. Ticks, which spread dangerous diseases, hide in tall grasses, and even on your pets. Rodents easily invade your home, contaminate food, and can carry more than 35 diseases. Mosquitoes, which breathe in standing water, transmit many diseases. Get the vaccine to protect your family at vactrol.org. It's that easy. A public service Management Association. One in 3 of us is overweight or obese. 1 in 5 of us will experience connective distress before we even turn 17. Adults who need you. You're the number one influence in my life. If you're more involved with my health and education, I'm more likely to make healthier choices, have greater self-esteem, and do better in school. Be my action hero.
I'm going to be very interested to see some of the logs that are coming in this week.
HealthyKids.org. You've been diagnosed with type 2. An increased risk of developing cardiovascular disease. You've been diagnosed with a new purpose, to fight for the amazing life you made for yourself. To look that risk of heart disease square in the face and say, no, not me. You've been given a new opportunity to live. Get started at NoDiabetesByHeart.org.
Chronic pain gets in life's way. But now you can fight back with chronic strength using the VIN app from the Arthritis Foundation. You'll find tips and tools to help you manage your chronic pain, set achievable goals, and be a part of a community that offers support. With the Arthritis Foundation's free VIN app, take back what chronic pain has taken away. Download it at arthritis.org/VIN. That's arthritis.org/VIN. Months early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take. And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan. Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council. First key, we are building game changers. We believe all kids deserve to feel excited to grow, safe to fail, and better equipped for whatever comes to them next. We do this by helping them develop their goals, but more importantly, their inner strength. First key coaches help young people aged 7 to 18 navigate the force, as well as guide them through new challenges. You know what's inside, doesn't you? Change the game. Learn more at firstteam.org.
Some people would call him a loser. Ran for state office, he was beat.
Remember these days? Just sitting around waiting for an ID? So you could move on to the next?
But we only those who never try.
There we go. Sports 56. All right, now we move ourselves to 570. That's Radio Reloj. You know what's weird, David, is I find myself doing that too, and I just out of habit, I'll be listening to a recording and I'm like waiting and waiting for it, and then I just realize I'm like, I'm on a recording, I can just fast forward this, fast forward real quick to where I'm looking for. But yeah, I a lot of times, because I'm usually doing like 2 things at once, DXing and doing some other work. So I just find myself sitting there listening for a while. It's actually not a bad thing to do anyway, because it helps you get the cadence of different programming styles down.
Gobiernos de Panamá y Cuba suscribieron hoy un convenio que da continuidad en 2025 al programa de alfabetización basado en el método pedagógico de la isla Dos Funciones. En este momento se presenta las bases del programa conocido como el Nuevo de Personas,
Yeah. I'm very happy I've got my Lankford-Misek sitting right here, man. Mexico Mike, yeah. It was live DXing before the days of SDR during an eSkip opening was. It was hectic. It was usually, in my shack, it was more than one radio running. One trying to find the MUF. I'm just putting this entry in here. 570. Radio Frello, 570. Santa Clara.
Servin aclaró cómo la nueva regulación reduce para el cáncer deportivos la anterior cuota de 18 años, pero autoriza solo hacerlo en centros habilitados y supervisados por adultos y añadió un grupo de requisitos para ese fin.
La ley se aprobó por el Parlamento no científica de ejecución, la cual ha recogido la tendencia del articulado a confundir, pues lleva espacios para el uso de armas que son agresivos y genera caos jurídico al favorecer con penas menores posibles casos de asesinato. Para el reloj, 9:53 minutos.
Buen acumulado de agua.
There's that ID.
Favorable comportamiento de las lluvias durante este año en Grama garantiza.
All right, so 570, we have something on there now. There's something underneath, which is probably Columbia, but we'll spend some more time on that one. 580. Nothing really standing out here right now. We'll come back to that. 590. Probably Cuba. But I've also heard Mexico here a lot this week. I've been spending a lot of time on 590. It's one of my 3 frequencies left that have not been logged either last season or this season. I've got 3 left. 650, 660, and 590. It's been a while since I logged anything on either of those 3 stations. This is probably Cuba. We do have a couple of Mexican stations here too. So this week I'm using Tim Trump's website as my replacement for an in-shack logbook of U.S. and Canadian stations. Using Medium Wave List as my replacement for the World Radio TV Handbook. Take care, Wrestler Player. Appreciate you being here from the Bayou tonight, my friend. Stay safe tomorrow with all these storms. You would think that the salsa station is Cuba, but it's probably not. There's an instrumental station underneath him that is probably who is Cuba. This is probably Mexico, if I had to guess. Could be XEPH. Could be XEFD. I don't know. Mexico, Mike, you got ears on either one of those? Hearing any salsa?
DX Central Live top of the hour alert.
You made me want to see if Puerto Rico's coming in on 1660. Gonna need to set up all my radios, each on a different freak, and wait for IDs. Love it. Great strategy, man. Maximize. I'm gonna have to throw my Southeast Caswell on this icon at some point tonight or this week. Swap them out on the window panel. That's what I usually do, is just move my feed lines between them. A little noisy on the top end of the band tonight. Go down here to 600. See if Nicaragua's coming in tonight. Nope. $29 miles. WVOG. Take care, Earl. Glad you stopped by for us, man. Or with us. When we get done with this challenge and we go back to our SDRs, it's going to feel like moving from a an old 84 Honda, some new state-of-the-art flying car. Barry says, suppose Radio Corporation on 540 is permanently off the air. Haven't heard them in quite a while. I haven't heard them. I'll take a gander this week and see if I can find them. I'll throw the South, the 175's Kaz on them and see if I can find them. I'll let you know in the chat, in the Slack. Probably Rebeldy here, which we can check. I'm going to go here on my VFO, which is a technique that we had back in the day, right? So I'm not doing anything sneaky here. We had VFOs back. It's VFOB. That's VFOA. That's VFOB. So yes, that's the 610 Rebeldy outlet. Yeah, no. Use one of the I don't know. I have a 74 Chevy and a 2004 Wrangler as my, well, I also have a 2011 Kia, but it's, none of those are state-of-the-art when it comes to the technology inside the car. So I don't even know who out there is pushing, besides the Teslas, who out there is pushing like the super high-end technology, you know, CarPlay type stuff. But that's what it's going to be like when we get out of this no SDR challenge. It's going to be like going from a 74 Chevy pickup to something with all the bells and whistles and self-driving and all that good fun stuff. .610 Rebeldy going into the log here. Guane. DX 674. Man, that's almost everything that I'm getting right now is Cuba. .620. There they are again. This low end of the band for me is going to be Cuba all day. Especially on these south wires. When I swap them to the north side, though, that's going to be interesting. Zero 0304. I want to show you guys something real quick. For this week, and for all these really, when we're looking at like the entire band, right? We're not looking at just like a couple of frequencies. If you are logging these Cubans, since we don't really use their call letters for the Cubans, when you log like Radio Rebeldy, Radio Relo, if you can do this, otherwise I have to do a lot of cleanup work to clean it all up to get everything consistent, because otherwise you'll have like one Radio Rebeldy for all the frequencies, or you'll have like an R Rebeldy, or you'll have like a Radio Rebeldy for this frequency and for that frequency, but they're all the same name, so you can't really, it's going to combine them, because Google Sheets is going to just go by whatever you put in. So what I usually do is I'll clean this up after the fact, is I'll just go and put in parentheses the frequency. I'll spell out Radio Rebeldy, Radio Progresso, Radio Relo, whatever. And then I'll put in parentheses the frequency that it was heard on, because, you know, that's the Rebeldy outlet on 620, Rebeldy on 1180, whatever. If you do that, it'll just save me a ton of cleanup. So, I mean, if you don't, I'll still end up cleaning it up anyway, but it will save me a ton of work and cleanup on my side if you guys do it that way. So, something to think about.
Le envío para que Nelson Cielo, que había ido varios años, hablaba bien. Y le...
620. That one is. In Cologne. 173 miles. All right, let's go to 630. I'll take us up to 640 here, Progresso. I hear a Spanish station in here. And normally this is where I would be pulling up my map in Jaguar and looking at my map and saying, oh, here's what I got available. But I can't do that this week. Is that Progresso? Yeah, it might be Progresso on 630. I don't hear them very often. But that might also be Mexico. That's Progresso on 640. Yeah, that's gonna be part of the fun. Is knocking out the 50Ks, right? Getting those done, and then going through and getting all the regionals and the graveyards and stuff. So it's gonna be interesting, right? See what comes in, old school style. So that's going to do it for tonight. No SDRs, no recordings, live DX only, no using online streams or no online SDRs for comparisons. You can use the list, medium wave list, Tim Trump site, things like that. Obviously, you can use your NRC AM radio log if you have one in the shack for your station lists. But otherwise, we're doing this old school, guys. No SDRs, no recordings, live DX only. Any antenna you want, portables are fine, desktops are fine, consoles, transistor radios, Walkmans, whatever you got. Car stereos, all good. But no SDRs, no recordings, no online receivers, no online streams. We're taking the dial back to 1995, and that's what we're DXing like we have here for the most part. So, all right, for our sponsors tonight, the National Radio Club, nationalradioclub.org is a website for information on membership, as is ircaonline.org for the International Radio Club of America, and the Spectrum Monitor, which, by the way, just recently hit the streets with a January issue. You can go ahead and get that subscription in for the year and get your whole of 2025 in for $24, $2 an issue. And I do have a article in the January issue of the Spectrum Monitor, and it's probably going to be super handy for those of you who are DXing some of the graveyard stuff this week on your old school non-SDR equipment. So you may want to check it out with some tips and tricks that you can use for using your old radios that have some different features. TheSpectrumMonitor.com is where you go for more information about subscribing, getting individual issues for $3 an issue, or get the whole shebang the whole year for $24, and that's $2 an issue. So you save $1 right there. We'll be back next week. We'll be looking back and see if we've got any FM DX, some Tropo stuff from this last week. We'll be looking back to see what we caught for New Year's Eve. I'm contemplating, don't hold me to this, I'm contemplating a live stream New Year's Eve for some DX stuff. We did a bunch of DX last year for some Latin American stuff down in Colombia, Ecuador, Cuba, things like that on New Year's Eve, and it was a lot of fun DXing last year. So I'm contemplating a live DX stream for New Year's Eve. And so if you guys want to do that, if you're interested in that, just let me know in the Slack channel this week, and if we get enough interest, we might jump up here and do a live stream for New Year's Eve. Just depends on how many folks will be around and want to DX alongside with us, especially if you're looking for Latin Americans, because it is so much fun DXing Latin America on New Year's Eve. It is a blast. So if you guys want to do that, then hit me up, let me know. Other than that, we'll be right back here next Friday night from the North Shore Studios here in Mandeville, Louisiana at 0045 UTC, 1845 Central Time, my friends. Take care, best of DX, and good luck. We'll see you next week.
This is DX Central Live. This is DX Central Live. This is DX Central Live.